다들이 치즈기 튠 다들이 도심기 치 튠 담을 차려야 가장 담을 쉐비미나 도심기 치들이야나 니마 숨기 뒤즈르치 쇠야래 이내야 안남규 차게 먼저 소주에 니마 숨기 뒤즈여 인주사네 안 도심래 니마 숨기 뒤즈쇠야래 이내야 달로 다미세 캡지 걸루르부치 시월시보다 안접지 보가는 것이 시월시보다 남은이게 공조의 뜻균체 담배 취기 최배 취도人지시 근주기 다 왕으로도 게 최시수업의 인주산에 안에 두지 니마지디야 응누르 체제 지시 근주 나는야 근데 당말에 제마다 규정물을 찾고 내 뒤균선 때네 아들이 치료 예전 주밀에 도성 치디 아들이 치료 살고 하래
This afternoon is our last session in the instructions on Vajrasattva. Originally, the plan had been to give 3 days to these instructions. As normally we set 3 days aside for the teachings. But this year, because it is the anniversary of Kyabje Kalu Rinpoche and Kyabje Boka Rinpoche passing into Nirvana, we had the empowerments of knowing one free all as in a manner of an offering of the true Dharma. And so, for that reason, we had to shorten the instructions by 1 day. We have fewer days for the instructions. Otherwise, the whole event would have taken too long. And so, for that reason, this afternoon, we need to finish the instructions on Vajrasattva from the Torch of True Meaning.
다들 당분간이야 예전 주민을 예배 지게드가 자산 사르지치 맞은 동기.
And so for that reason, first I will just recite all of the instructions as they are written in the Torch of True Meaning.
아디 제리야 다나셔베 최 미르드스마 모두슈이.
Following that, we will continue the discussion of the visualization from this morning.
태야 예바 상신배나 지배도 저디 대배사배도 유규 출연 좀 배인 마상으로 껴도 시비 시엔라 메신 저나 미페와 톱총도 저디 대배 타동 버시차 대디도 여샤타비 디종게 털라 저나 디동 zen의 창화는 측미 대한 탑계배시나 디반나리게 개완나리게 디베 풍부심을 좀니 다게 예반 ditaba cheso 시에바는 퇴화이나 대는 여바 차베스 동화의 제반의 샤고이 예바 대담 미디바 나라 초도 뭐 살신 그바다 제 라니 예버체베 심 shum신 뭐차 송브르마의 고네 케남기 투제의 공데 렌디 타브르제도스시 닝타바는 제반의 샤고의 퇴이 대양 아르시기 디발라 콩도 두통화의 유심 잡고 넘버 수집에 또 신체 소라바기 제리냠베 동심 잡고 예발 라르도베 또 겹서도의 섬게바 땡기 또 님보 고투도 잡아서 딕종 라 미니 게베 자 진주 주바 님부 군도 제베 dob시 창거
Starting on page 51. Furthermore, if you hide your wrongs and keep them secret, they will grow more and more powerful. That is combining the seed of misdeeds with the water and fertilizer of deception. If you do not conceal your faults, but recognize them and admit them openly to others, they will not increase, but will weaken instead. The truth brings it to a close, it is said. If in addition you apply yourself to the methods of purifying misdeeds with deep regret and confession, you will have no difficulty purifying misdeeds and downfalls completely. Furthermore, if embraced by skillful means, even a single virtue can overcome a great heap of wrongs. To say, I did this wrong, is to admit it. To have intense regret and mental anguish about it is confession. The meaning of confession is that you are disheartened and ashamed by the wrongs you have done, and say from the depths of your heart with great admiration and respect to those who have not committed such wrongs, think of me with compassion. I pray that you purify this karma. For this, the 4 powers must be fulfilled. The power of remorse is to have such intense regret toward former misdeeds that you feel as sorry as if you had drunk poison. The power of turning away from wrongs is to have a mind that firmly resolves to never do that harmful action again, even if your life is at stake. The power of support is to go for refuge and generate bodhicitta. The power of applying the antidote is to accomplish whatever virtue you can, such as the 6 methods of remedy and so forth, with the intention of purifying misdeeds.
대양 아시아는 유에서면은 샤베 넘버좀 지게 되고 합니다. 신체 dom스면은 샤바다 개와체서 되면도 로 겸저도 심게 맞으로 샤바 렘 봉차 샤발래야 겹심 천전유여버시기 샤바 렌지셰비 디관 탁도체 겹심 톱에 로망부 샤바 샤발래야 원그루 톱에 니지 샤바 셰베 디관 닥섭체리 땡기 또 고는 건도 초도 규에 싫어
If you do not regret what you have done and just go through the motions of confession, your misdeeds will not be purified. If you lack the resolve to never do them again, all the confession and virtues you do will be pointless. A single confession by someone who has authentically taken refuge and developed bodhicitta has more power to purify negative actions than 100,000 confessions by someone who has neither taken refuge nor developed bodhicitta. One day of confession by someone who has received empowerment purifies more negative actions than years of confession by someone who has only received the refuge and bodhisattva vows. This is because the powers of support are progressively higher.
디바다 게베 폐게란 디징데 님부 고초니 어바메 메라 민주과소 리딥 정원의 최동압에 상계 장심기 천송신 闲了找不到几古树立邦确定性的你点数了确保当根据了研究免责确保上岸了是为经过当考虑确保开不了嘛了你把那帮给确保的数细心的探讨说假外送的对于卡顿的确保的细提醒是为一个的根据民主国所给送啊什么大话当啊 대신시 위님불 이체신 다음에 된 건데 장세 디립 정제 하나 정게 랑지 코스 미명한도 라다시 동이 사면에 줄 응어서 지든 데메 주마더비 뉴버 공바다 추디 게다 가야로와 제얌 내라 소나 디비 군데 지침을 줘 정뉴감 데릭 무시 차게 쳔비 냠도 껴라 바로 제베 디립 라바체도 중에 된도
Misdeeds and virtues are magnified in the same way as well. There are 6 methods of remedy. 1. Memorizing the names of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas specifically praised for their ability to purify obscurations, such as Amitabha, the Medicine Buddha, and Akshobhya, and reciting them to others. 2. Fashioning statues, texts, and stupas. 3. Presenting offerings to those 3 representations, serving the Sangha, offering mandalas and ganachakras if a Vajrayana practitioner, and especially practicing the 5 methods of pleasing the Guru. 4. Reading the sutras and tantras taught by the victor, such as the Prajnaparamita Sutras and the Sutra of Great Liberation. 5. Reciting profound dharinis, such as the 100-syllable mantra of the Tathagata or the mantras of Sarvavid, Akshobhya, and so forth. 6. Having confidence in Buddha nature and meditating on the meaning of selflessness. Devote yourself to resting in a state free of focus on the 3 spheres, the misdeeds and obscurations to be purified, the deity and mantra that purify, and yourself, the person purifying. And meditate on either the actual profound yoga or the attitude compatible with it, that all things are unreal, like an illusion. Although any of these, if practiced effectively, is capable of completely purifying the causes and results of wrongdoing, the meditation and recitation of Vajrasattva is taught here in order to swiftly purify coarse misdeeds and obscurations that obstruct the arising of experience and realization in the main practice of Mahamudra.
대한 챈들 사비 디짐나 뒤녀외 냠용을 디섭체 개발도 넘었습니다. 양도 라면 구송도기 담게 남 니동 신도체 상하게 탐지 시행계와다 월도 꿀류스에 봐서게 냠용 아리오 딥 사도 미기와 기체에 대남 정원라 도스미 이겐 디코나 타버가 조지 송래 상하게 이동 참모망보 다도 빼나 사초 뉴체사시도 멘제치디 샤나 대테마다 뉴기 갱바단 자하소 오나 람귤레 계획 두명함 시베 연자 상아 탑게지 망외 니동 참모망보야 탑나리 깨지기 다버린 유루손에 이게 검대 개바시나现那个的他都给偏生意偏把的面吧生意预定那么人家送别听也兄人都论中啊呢去给多
The misdeeds and obscurations we have accumulated in this life obscure experience the most because they are so recent. In particular, violations of the 3 types of vows, and especially violations of the samaya of the Guru's body, speech, and mind, are extremely grave wrongs and downfalls. Violating other samayas of the secret mantra, such as unethical use of the Sangha's possessions and offerings to the Gurus, also obscures previous experiences and prevents new ones from arising. That is why the 100-syllable mantra of Vajrasattva is renowned as the best way to purify all of these. Lord Atisha said, minor infractions and downfalls of the secret mantra vows constantly occur. For example, it is like cleaning a mandala plate and setting it down in an extremely dusty place. It is immediately covered in dust anew. Well then, someone asked, will there never be a time when the path arises in our beings? But, he replied, the secret mantra has many skillful methods, so just a single one can purify many subtle infractions and downfalls in an instant. He then gave them the long recitation practice of the 100 syllables. Furthermore, the tantras of the ancient and new translation are unanimous in saying that it has immeasurable short-term and ultimate benefits. This point is encapsulated in one Indian text.
가시 이게 잡아서 주민치와 니다 내다 양의 미중 가시 이게 잡아서 위도 동의 소민중 다른 긴네 세버죠 다른 장의 세버죠 잡아 탐제 rab들은 가시 이게 잡아서 분들변의 분이지 너들변의 너들죠 유매반의 요름죠 가디 시링 세네 링전에 이게 잡아 장와서 세세 교반 대화네 로네 숨겨 처리죠 센데 대화 교화다 10회 대화 제대로 가시 이게 잡아서 칸로 중보로난다 집진탄의 지식이 세월 제바 미뉴스 동화 체다 되는 상경에 버터 통하죠. 상아 얘기 간데나 룸볼론이 핑줄라 갱에 남게 겐den주 줄다 동에 남버지 참행하다 되바 이게 야대 장어르죠. 깨와 대다도 콜르유 르젠주 탄네 타버르 셔주 상경에 토버주 예소
Dharani's mantras, mudras, building stupas, and mandalas do not possess such merit as a single 100 syllables, the pervasive Lord and 5 wisdoms in nature. The merit of someone who recites the 100 syllables properly is ornamented by all the Buddhas, who are as numerous as atoms. Furthermore, those who know the 100 syllables will not experience untimely death, disease, or sorrow. Those who know the 100 syllables will not see poverty, suffering, and so forth. Their enemies will disappear and all their wishes will be fulfilled. Knowing the 100 syllables, those who want a son will have one. Those who want wealth will gain it. Those without a homeland will gain one. Those who desire long life should memorize the 100 syllables. Those whose life force is depleted will easily live 300 years. They will be happy in this life and go to Sukhavati after death. Those who know the 100 syllables cannot be harmed by dakinis, spirits, zombies, or the Buddhas who cause fits or amnesia. Even those who committed a great downfall will definitely see the Buddha. By reciting the 100 syllables of secret mantra, fools will gain intelligence and the unfortunate will gain fortune. Disaster and suffering will be eradicated. Even perpetrators of the 5 heinous deeds can be purified by reciting the 100 syllables. In lifetime after lifetime, they'll be born in emperors' families. Eventually, they'll be liberated and achieve Buddhahood itself.
딜은 쇠는 이동 참모든 지구는 자원낸다. 천보는 유미비 신고년의 림기 창원을 유루수. 지를 낸데를 이체시. 이체시 깨나 디바는 göba 미기회 텀에. 대자나 샤고 천대 시오 용 디 유타는 냠도 미게 터미나에 라르는 자세 차세기 제주 된배 카체 잠네 이세는 여바스 천대메 냠도 루베기 뿌난 된배 자완들 도버나오.
It is said that if you exert yourself at this, minor and moderate transgressions will be fully purified. Even major ones will not increase, they will be suppressed and gradually purified. Generally, if you develop a belief in karma and result, it will be impossible not to feel remorse for wrongdoing, and then your confession will be authentic. That will purify your being, and there will be no way not to develop experience and realization. But we just follow the customs of the monasteries and race through the recitation out of obligation without genuine belief or regret. The fact that experience and realization vie with turtle fur for rarity seems to come down to this.
어다 되게 예든 드미나 예드비 가서리 디 도스미 티가 디 주브레 롱저브 주브레.
That completes the instructions on Vajrasattva found in the Torch of True Meaning. So that completes the transmission of these.
다 드네 다 도지셈바 다나 쇼베 슈벤나시데 도지셈바지 곰네 도지셈바 디게 다 네 숨도 구숭툭 도지 숨긴고 다 이게 가서디 오마홍 이게 오마홍 숨 가서도 깨고 그래서 때 가라서나 아니디 가서디 자와라 지울라다 꾸도징어 이게 아가고 짐발라 송도징어 이게 아마고 투갈라 툭도징어요 이거 홍팅가 나니지 셈바 공고요 아레스.
As we began this morning, when we visualize Vajrasattva, we should then, after we visualized Vajrasattva, we should visualize that in his three places there are the three Vajra essences of the body, speech, and mind, the letters Om, Ah, Hum. And the reason, or how we meditate, is that we visualize at the crown of his head there is the essence of the Vajra essence of the essence of the Vajra body, a white Om, the essence of the Vajra speech at his throat, a red Ah, and the essence of the Vajra mind, a blue Hum, at his heart.
아대야 두개 공디 이제 가수래 두개 도갈다 홍지 지난 디나서도 샤비미나 얘네들이 송도 가사디 네 숨도야 주숨 되네 되네야 토게기 메샤상으로 다들이야 가르에 주숨 좀도 마스비야 토게 메샤들이야 나왜 긴고르게 띵도 다 홍이 가르고 드니지 바지 공고면로 대바지 공고 이스레 토게 참여
Now, in visualizing the Hum at the heart, it is as it is explained here. It says his three places are marked by the three seed syllables. And then in the lower part of his heart, on a lotus and moon seat, is a white Hum. So the white Hum is in the lower part of the heart.
다데라야 지 다외 긴고르지 여버체 꾸줍 찬주 있습니다. 다다가다 지고래 꾸줍 찬주 있음기 뭐니 꾸줍 찬주 있음이 말라 데 넘버 데네 다와가비 넘버 인데바 디지콤 데네 빼마지콤 당부 빼마지콤 디데나 니중 그 삼바츠게 서베 디르츠제를 빼마지콤 디딘도 꾸줍 찬주 있음 춘제 다와가보시콤 대이당도 돈담 찬주 있음 춘제라 도지가부 쟁아바 디지콤 다디 도지가부 곰난지도 도지가부 마검나야 다 간다라 이제 홍가르버지 겁나 가지 저기 길에 투니즈메베 20천체기다 진짜 가서 홍가르버지 검다 텔레비전 트레네 다 20년 하고 있어요.
The moon is a symbol of relative bodhicitta, as I described before. So in essence, it is relative bodhicitta. In form, it is a white moon. And so first we visualize the lotus, which is a symbol of renunciation. Then on top of that, we have the moon as a symbol of, the white moon as a symbol of relative bodhicitta. And on top of that, we visualize a five-pronged vajra, or not. It's okay to visualize it or not. It is also fine to just visualize the white letter Hum. And this white syllable Hum is a symbol of the non-dual wisdom of the Buddhas. Then we imagine that light radiates from this and invites the wisdom deities.
다마시레 디 홍가버디 타고로도 응진 거야지 야래 다디 제르시안 디스레
And now around the white Hum there is also the mantra garland, which I will explain later.
다 왜데 포네 왜데 포단디 니마 셔리젤이야 샤르용의 거리야 샤르게 주유젤이 니마 샤르용의 거리야 아니지 서시 탐제 외기 캬바샤바 난신기 왜서비 페마타도 초준지는 게 감탐지 캡스냐베 배바체.
And then the light radiates out and strikes everything. And the way it radiates is like when the sun rises at dawn. As the sun comes over the mountains at dawn, its light fills everywhere. Similarly, we visualize that the light radiates out and fills all of the world realms in the 10 directions.
다 되라야. 간다슬라오다. 디기 외스르데 초주기 지딘 감 람점의 수비 야와서다 제베 다 투가라 포버점기. 안 데르비 야와서다 제바 탐지 런이기 디버종에 런이 제수 잡아다. 디버종에 셔도 도지센베게 넘버려야 최네 안 카와 부유수바는 신기 카와 바바도 부유수스르자는 롱겨야죠로다 카와 부유수바는 신기 듣는 가르소를 배 상가를 제제 딱 간다 배섬 이미해봐 근데 주편에 에너지 가르소디 팀송 사브라니 가르소에 민주분 가르쳐야 돼. 도시선 몇 넘버 써야 될 팀수 선물을 매버치고 있으래.
The light radiates out to all of the universes and all the world realms in the 10 directions, and it strikes all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in those realms. The moment it strikes them, then in order to accept you as their student, and in order to purify your misdeeds and obscurations, then they come like snow in a blizzard. So snowflakes in a blizzard, the blizzard means like there's a lot of wind. So they're all in a swirling blizzard. This means that they're really like they're crowding and rushing to come to you. And so they all come and then they dissolve into the form of Vajrasattva that you are visualizing.
어다 딘데 팀네 군조 군듀기 ngol 쇼송 사마르지 다 군조 군듀기 등이야 다 가사 찍마야 도지 셈바스다 라 찍마야 라 탐진 뒤에 넘버 되네 도지 셈베 넘버이나 오 되네 야와 탐진 뒤에 등이 야와 탐진 뒤에 오 딘데지 주도 사마르들 매바 차고 다 띵에 가장 어디 쉬는 신기 쉬지 개 참으려샤
And so when they dissolve into him, then he becomes like the embodiment of all of the victors, the embodiment of all the Buddhas. And so in this way, he is not just one deity, but he is all of the deities. In form, he is Vajrasattva, but in his essence, he is the character of all the Buddhas, the essence of all the Buddhas. And so as I mentioned yesterday, this is extremely important.
단 니나로야 20의 젠창의 띵범마도베 데라 원구르게데 차 치그나네 세브 송레비 인들사네 다 슈모가 제산트문로
Now here in the instructions it mentions that they dissolve into him, but they do not talk about granting an empowerment, and so I will not discuss that.
대한변에 왕구르직 치주산에 에네베 주마타 사저와 텔레 우마 매직 라버스 왕구르고 칸주마타 사지 디가데 아무라다 주마타 세데산에 라마질 라버스 도지 셈바라 주마타 규지에나 도지 셈바라 데네 딕둡 칸데 종고레스 라레스 텔라마티 담냠 큐 파송 나딜라레스
When we talk about bestowing the empowerment, then there's the phrase in the empowerment that reads, "His body is filled, his stains are purified." And so once there was someone who came to see a lama and said, well, when we visualize giving an empowerment to Vajrasattva, his stains are being purified. And if he's got stains, then how can he purify anyone else's stains? And the Lama said, hey, you've broken Samaya, get out of here.
다들告诉嘛爸爸的，这当个我到底羡慕我这，这里体那边羡慕我这。다들 네 디버저 선립체 자도 손입니다.
Next is the supplication to purify your misdeeds and obscurations.
다 디버저 사다비 거리야. 런이 탐에베 나바치니야 바라 따뜻들이야. 탐에베 나바치에베 인두산에 랑겐 윤도 센디 파마. 양 가시에서는 이제 이해의 유연을 파다마도 예유를 바꿔야 지 연구도 양 가시에게는 배 자고란 뉘는 샤지 연구도 다 가르치지는 진설을 하지 되는 땡땡의 지 감인도 와 지 가시는 지게 파다마 예를 보면 이제 가시에 안 자든 뉘는 거면 좀 먹으시도 다 강다량 자외 파다마 소르 규베 장애인 바람에 심지어 탐지기 탁고는 이유에 사바지 다 심지어 탐지 세들사네 다 디나로라 로르로 탐지 뉴디아래 로르로 탐지 뉴디사네 아니 둔주드 뉴디아래 둔주드 뉴디사네 뭐뭐 무슨 탐지 뉴디아라 뭐뭐 무슨 탐지 뉴디 뭐뭐 무슨 디지 차가래 세워서 저러다 미망고지 마디에는 저러다 무샤 그랬더니 년대가 삼다 무강결하게 착하네 고야랑 도마라 드린두자나 겁들이야 심지어 탐제 별 둔주리 주바 탐제 때니 가르소에 미루된데 교니 미된제데 교니 때니 차차 저 비자 책에서 매버체 된데체 차대 양코로 미세게야 둔주든 답제 미 루된데 교회 양코 딘디르 디가르 디멘로 어떻게 인두산에 딘디 공고유에서 송고야래
Now, when we are supplicating, we visualize ourselves in our ordinary form. And then we imagine that in front of ourselves are our parents from this life. So actually, there are different versions and different instructions. Some say that you visualize them to your right and left and visualize your enemies in front of you. And that's also fine. It's not necessarily fixed what you need to do. In some instructions, you say that you visualize your parents to your right and left, or your enemies in front, and so forth. Whichever you do is fine. In any case, you visualize that you're surrounded by all sentient beings, with your parents of this life first and foremost. So you're surrounded by enemies, friends, and all those in between. Now, when we say all sentient beings, this of course includes all 6 classes of beings. And that means that it also includes the animals. And when we talk about including animals, then this means that it also includes bugs and parasites. And when we start thinking about bugs and parasites surrounding us, then we start wondering, how is it that bugs and parasites can prostrate? Like if you have a worm can't even stand up. So how could a worm possibly do a prostration? So for that reason, when we visualize the animal, we imagine that they all become human in form. They have human bodies, and then that they prostrate and make the offerings. And if we visualize in this way, I think it also becomes like a connection for all the animals to also later achieve human bodies.
다 차세단이야. 다당한 주지 차세단, 배배의 차세단. 다는신 개규 자나게 비규난데 차세단, 개규난데 차세단 대주. 당하라 주기 유롱배 검수 소수고 롱베 검수 투모만 임베로 진 사람한테 야가 차로 돼 인사 말해 오마디 로비 이징디 탕게 로비 로저 이징디 야를 주두사나 고주 차세두사네 차를 지도 야랑 마데 저로다 아주 로셀 차를 야랑 야마 야라 시살팝 지고로 봐 대치두산 야가르도 개모쇼 고주들 비모지 마쭉 다라는야 하루에마 구구지야마 야랑아 되면도 비규 난데 개규 난데 되어 때 고주 개모쇼 나 고주 개모쇼나 제바면도 다 가다지 그바 있나 단지도 어로다 인지민지디 가르소다 제바스금 딱 한달 가리면에 진짜 레샤 당마디 이제 어다 네 인비스안에 간다야 룽아 예수 그베고는 차차 다나질 하발도 끔들이야 되는 아르지기 디발라 베데 코베나를 두송한다고 두지 쇼르소나 다 심데 시비지 예심 슉 타고 시비지 연구로 봐 드레인 루산에 진짜 또는 아르지기 디발라 콩도 두송한다고 연구 봐 진짜 베 솔라파는 디베기 베 가서 디베레다 탐지 류당하라베 라글렌트도 파세레 꾸노 잠이야 디베드스 가서 꾸노 잠이야 미교아 거기 이냐마로 진짜게 톱니보데 상에 거네 소수 운제체네 소수 운제로 체네 심지어 탐지 딘지도 되네 가서 디바타바 소아타
Now, in terms of the manners of prostrating, there's the Tibetan way of prostrating, there's also the Chinese way of prostrating, but it seems that these are actually particular ways of prostrating for each particular country. And these aren't the Indian way of prostrating. There was a Chinese translator named I Ching who went to India during the Tang Dynasty. And when the Tibetans were prostrating, then
Chinese.
When the Chinese prostrated at that time, then they would stand up and then bow down, touch all four limbs to the ground, and then get back up and bow down again. And the Indians started laughing at them because in India they didn't get up; they just kneel on the ground and then bow down to the ground as a sign of respect. So it's not like we do in Tibet, where you stand up and then bow down and then stand all the way back up. They don't do that. At any case, you can visualize the prostrations in any manner. What's fine is if you have respect, then that is fine. And so you prostrate with your body, speech, and mind. And in particular here, you make the recite the supplication where you regret your past misdeeds as intensely as if you had drunk poison. So if you swallow poison, you regret it really intensely. And so you regret it intensely like that. And then also you have the resolve that even at the risk of your own life, you will never do such misdeeds again. This is not just not merely doing them with your body and speech. It is also the strong desire to stop yourself from even having the motivation in your mind, to not allow yourself to be moved by that motivation, to block that entirely. And so if you do this, then the first two of the four powers are complete. And so imagining in this way, then you as the chantmaster lead all of you as the umze or chantmaster lead all sentient beings in reciting a supplication to purify misdeeds.
또 가르쳐다지 꿀리 뉴지 균총 랑게 시원의 마션 뉴지 균지 류디 난탐지 강네 에너지 가르소래 다게 티 나는 숨바단 신경 미세게 지기 양 딕딥 정화라 양 그런지 디바다 디바 탐지 낙상 두고 대비 나바사로 다가나 신기 내기를 탐지이나 에너지 낙사가 남바다보다 된 둥기 기르기 비나 에너지 양디스 제생기 심징이 남바다고 딕발라스업에 심징이 남바다고 다 진짜가 거는 가스레 지 베네 플러드 섬으로 출로기고 나시 다 진짜베 가스레 수수기 지 법이 부가당 다가는 오고네마 퇴네 상게 타송 냠버라고 진짜기 가스레 미베체과 이부터
Just by supplicating, because Vajrasattva is controlled or overwhelmed by his compassion, then nectar, wisdom nectar, begins to flow from his body. It enters you through the crown of your head and fills your body. And as it fills your body, it purifies you of your misdeeds and obscurations. In the instructions, it describes how you visualize for the specific types of obstructions. You visualize that all of your past misdeeds and obscurations are carried out of your body in the form of soot and sludge. All of the different illnesses are carried out of your body in the form of pus, blood, and lymph. And all the duns, the spirits that cause sickness, are cleansed from you in the form of parasites and filth. And so these all exit you, and it's like there's a big rush, a big flood of all of them leaving your body, exiting you through all of your pores and through your lower orifices. And you visualize that you have been cleansed and purified.
텔레야 다갱에 고도시바나 신기 투게기 메샬리에 홍이 까르보 디 홍이 까르보 디 타거도 이기 갸뱅아 이기 갸뱅아 나기 총아 까르보 나고 치르덴바 단 나게 동디 치러를 봐 된대바 근데 체 나고 치돌 된대바 유니즘 예골 주이키와 남신기 다들이 이제 공부이스래 드레인들이 뒤진 법장 지하디 조디 투게 앙고르텔리 뒤지밥 앙고르텔리 뒤지기바 원이 이시 말라 남반이 뒤지 남바 뒤지 가르베 남바 되게 도지스템베기 루기 난 감지 강하네 마숑을지도 말류는 샵기 태보는 마 규네 랑게 지오는 마슈들이지 가서래 아니면 버샤이스래
As I mentioned said before, the white letter Hum in Vajrasattva's heart is surrounded by the mantra garland. These are the 100 syllables that surrounding the letter Hum. And this mantra garland is white in color. The letters face outward and they go around it clockwise, go around the syllable Hum clockwise like the coils of a snake. And so they begin in front and go around. Now, the nectar flows from these, and so the nectar primarily begins at flowing from the mantra. And the nectar itself is, in essence, it is wisdom. In form, it is the white Amrita nectar. It completely fills Vajrasattva's body, and then, because no more will fit, it begins pouring out of him through his big toe, and then from his big toe, it enters you through the crown of your head.
루이다 미자와 탐지 왕진 서기 쓰실마 팀 왕진 서기 쓰실마 팀 인주산에 아닌지 단도 지 가셔야 나를 왕진 서기 쓰실마 쓰시 숲드네마 팀네 아닌지 쓰시 월이야 랑게 체력 운영이 렌차 렌차게 되지 네 불륜 차베 심지엔 당지 등기 당 양직 체력을 되어 있는 신질라서 봐 디지 가르쳐야 되지 구줄이야 구줄 가난도 친수 삼바 안 되게 되지 침니 정말 봤다 렌차 되게 됐다 오늘 전 불륜 최소 삼바로지 다 간다 되지 삼 동안 들어 먹고 싶어 다 디너 미선 디나 자 솜도 와 삼다나 저기 기로 봐
Then all of this filth leaves your body in the form, leaves your body, and it dissolves into the powerful golden earth below you. Now, some instructions say here that you should visualize that then you can visualize that there are beings in the earth that it dissolves into, that there are the karmic creditors, the people from whom you have karmic debts in past, all of the spirits and so forth. And you imagine that it flows down and it goes into their mouths. As it goes into their mouths, you imagine that you have paid off all of your karmic debts from the past. Although this is not specifically said here, I think it is okay to visualize this as well.
Tene ishigi duzi rani ge lu khane chu lama ya lu be chu ya lu ne an ju ge doje sembege ene shagi thebon la riversam.
Then your body then the wisdom nectar fills your body, and as it does so, then the excess overflows from your body and touches Vajrasattva's toe. And you need to visualize this over and over again.
풍대에서야돼 여러 풍대에서야 가라서나 닝갈래야 에너지 딕립 탐세 닝갈래야 나풍이 야고 검 텔레야 되네 가수에 야 두지 gün기 가수에 두지 gün디 텔라 포과점 기배 가수에 나풍한테 또르니 아니 매워서들 풍대에서야 근데 지 가시나 되는데 다 됐어. 지난주도 마찬가지도 간다 개미도 다 간다 드시 그럼 미버 제다만 보지 주세요.
Now there are various descriptions in various instruction manuals. Sometimes it's said that you visualize the nectar flowing you from the top to the bottom. Sometimes you imagine going from bottom to top. There's also a visualization of the mass of the obscurations. You imagine that all of your misdeeds and obscurations are gathered in a black sooty mass in your heart, and that the nectar touches them, and at that moment they are all dispersed. And so that is the visualization of the mass of the mass of misdeeds. And so these are various different visualizations that you may do or not as you like.
다드네 타마들이야 전에 테모자네 공부다는 미시 뭔가 이 라스와베기 샌딥지 제가다 냠도 지위라마 도지스탄바 투 게베스 셴 좀바다젠 어다 교랑게 디지털이 니마 다리니 송데 나 타과 인노스체제 드르지기 가르쳐 마신 우 용네 사마라다지 encourage 사마라 다지 생대 우용 생대 전에 에너지 지위라마 도지스템바데 랑 팀비 에너지 라마도 랑이다 랑드기 룽아 예수가 라마 도지스템비 구송도 예르마지베 교송 냠베가네 드르지기 지 나리아 지니 마주버라 냠버샤 드르죠.
At the end, you then join your palms and you supplicate Vajrasattva to Vajrasattva out of ignorant delusion, I have committed wrongs and so forth. And so you recite this, and then Vajrasattva is pleased with you. And Vajrasattva then says, your misdeeds...
Smile.
He smiles at you and he says that all of your misdeeds and obscurations have been purified. And so he encourages you and he praises you at this point. And then you visualize that Vajrasattva dissolves into you, and you imagine that your own body, speech, and mind become inseparable from Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind. And then you rest within that for a few moments without altering it.
가장디 왕구두산에 구송도 예매의 교르 구송도 예매의 교스 망보지 아주 망보지 라브레 지두산 같이 삼르지 거스 구송도 예매의 교사데 레라버지 자와니는 다디 체럽도만 토부주지 장글 류가이스 라 야면안에 다 소소 타버쳐고 야면안에 딱 간다 하디 나란다버지 콘로 사보 아제 사보 타도 사보 주나들이 열마지부 찬로야지 용거로와 야나 소소 콘로 매방 아제 매방 하딜 아니 콘로 매방 아제 매방 나시지 소소 차고 대마사 발래야 아니 소소는 녀몽이 본 거지 라 녀몽 가서 차도 매방 아제 매외 하지 아제다 차도 공부질리바 팀니 예매도 주서 깔아버려 네 뉴스다디 세 토브로 지레샤 드가즈 지 마팀소 삼텐데 데 예매도 주주 저기 기제 이마로 왔다
Over the last few days during the empowerments, it was said over and over again that your body, speech, and mind become inseparable from the body, speech, and mind of the deity. We recited this a lot, and as we did so, I thought, this isn't so very easy. How is it that we can become inseparable from the body, speech, and mind of the deity? I think that this is a rather high threshold, because if this is going to work, either you have to be completely purified yourself, or the deity has to become someone like yourself, someone like me who is angry, prideful, and envious. And then we could become inseparable. So either we have to become pure and be free of all pride and envy and so forth, or the deity would have to become angry and envious and prideful, just as we are. We ourselves have the afflictions, and so then the deity would also have to have the afflictions. So if we think that we are then going to be free of the pride and the jealousy and so forth, and the deity dissolves into us, then that is a rather high threshold for this. In any case, it's not really enough just to think that the deity dissolves into you.
지자 겁들이야 조조디 지 구송토기랑 신사란다도 단도나지 상기기 정신 넘버 타베 구송토 정신 넘버 타베 차다 심진기 유기 룽아이스 넘버 정신 넘버 타베 차니 고 상해다 토메다 다는 시기 장조의 여명 지구차 디규전 때네 아니 상기기 상기라니 때 정신 넘버 타베 차대다 랑이기 주 룽아이스 정신 넘버 타베 차대 오예메 인라 인신도 당번에 인바차를 만다야 민바지 인바차 기저 마미세 인라 인신도 디 오예메도 출을 추샤와도 다들 교송사만 진짜긴 알아야더네 제주메야 지 아주나주 거주 체계래야 탐매비 시바 탐매기 시바사죠 삼삼 탐매기 시바사듯이 고알렌다나 마시엔도 캔사를 다 되기 가서 쌤 남도 락바코라는야 탐매기 시바 오늘 지나 탐매기 시바사야 돼 맞어봐 탐매방 가다 소주기 말레베 추니 데고 여러마다 시바라고 남도라고 돼 아이나 삼정 되인도산에 onda 마주 말레뱅안 간다 소수기 심지 추니 타 진이 타 진니니 가지지 타니버 채토나 대주지 타니버 채토야지 이러지기 가서 중세지 디응하는 냠버샤도 세비미나 다디 아니 지 가져왜 아주 동이 냠내들 같이 차들면 로 안들이 이제 야외 있어서 다시 자통은 알고 말다 자통아.
The main point here is that the nature of your body, the nature of the deity's body, speech, and mind is the pure aspect of the nature of a Buddha. And this is the same as the utterly pure nature of the body, speech, and mind of sentient beings. There is no distinction in terms of good and bad, high and low, between the natures of the body, speech, and mind of a Buddha and the natures of the body, speech, and mind of sentient beings. And so the pure nature of the Buddha is just the same as the pure nature of our own body, speech, and minds. And knowing this to be so, recognizing our own nature to be as it is, then we visualize that they become this, that they dissolve. Then we visualize that they mix like pouring water into water, knowing that this is the nature. And when we do this, then we do not need to modify this. We do not need to alter it or adulterate it in any way. And so in the Kagyu tradition, we have our own particular terminology. We say the ordinary mind. And when we say the ordinary mind, if we do not know how to understand that properly, then it can sound like a very strange term. Usually, you might think that all of the coarse thoughts and coarse cognitions you have in your mind are ordinary mind, but that's not what we mean here. Here, the ordinary mind means that you don't alter the mind, you don't change it, you don't adulterate it in any way. It is the unadulterated nature of the mind. It does not mean the coarse thoughts and cognitions. And so what it means is that we rest without changing it, without adulterating it, contriving it in any way. And so here, that is what we try to do. We try to get as close to this as we can. We try to approach this as closely as we can. And then you rest within this for a short while. And if you do this, then I think it becomes a practice of emptiness and is good.
That's the council chapsana tanga tangi. This year, Majon Tangami. Masiti Gurga Mido Umadi Digarda, Judure, Jumel Ziraja, Jig, So, Rimbush, Tutin Rimbush Jarsma, Chudushing Arthur. And Chapsan Dan, what Sydney did in Sarawak? She's Dig. And she Kajas, I wish you were Tava Dictol Shin, Dig soon, he did a star. That payment is trained to Sana. She's on a cabin in the dark. Or trained to Sana. Come up with Super and Judozilla, Mijigi. Gom Mugube, Yamne Chemogo, Gom Mugube, Church Naya or Vesta. Gom Jedukalesh to train the Gom Mugube, Yamne Chemogo, Church Naya in Narochis. They are as a Shindune US, Hade. Never the Yoris. Yinayang Choran Gom Mugubigi Tamaja, Chorangi, Yamnichi, Meta Gom, Gumju, Metagamata, Titrashama was a gum. Today in Justane, Nay Choran Gom Mugubi Yamne the Tena, Chorangi, Gom Mugubi Yamne, the Gom Muguba Cheshiman. Gumju Meta, Yamnichi, Meta, Trini, Choran Gom Mugubi Tama, the Choran Tena Pentomas. Or this solution. Around Jeju Mountain, Gom Sadi, Kale Kabu Yevati, Unet, Koran Kale Kabu Yene, Gom Jamasheva Inda, Yana Latan Gom Jamasheva Insana, Kale Katan Gom Jamasheva Mares, Lamacoman of this one. Let Latan Gomashi. Around Simjendi Jeju Mountain, Jondola, Lokomba in Dusane. 다 결혼은 훌루치 아니디 가르쳐다지 훌루치 되어서서 수 담으로 당으로 컵 잡는 뉴스단 임지도 저러 흘르치 take it easy 는 just 수 담을 내고도 그 강라로 쳇고 어디 디소를 내집니다. 다 제인 다 때문에 시험 다는 관전을 좀 기본도
There was someone who once came to the third Karmapa Rangjung Dorje and who said, meditation is far too difficult for me. Is there some practice that you can do without meditating? And Rangjung Dorje replied to him, of course there is. Most certainly. There of course is a practice that you can do without meditating. But if I give it to you, you have to check it out to see really whether it's true that you don't have to meditate or not. If you don't go through the effort of trying it, you won't find out whether you need the meditation. So before I give it to you, you need to see whether you need to meditate or not. Otherwise, if I give you this instruction, it will not be of any benefit to you. And so it is like this. Basically, we ordinary beings, we do too much in our minds. We contrive too many things in our minds. And for that reason, when we come to meditating, is it because when we don't know how to meditate, is this because meditation is too difficult? Or is it because meditation is too easy? It's not because meditation is too difficult. The great masters of the past have said instead it's because meditation is far too easy. And yet we, ordinary sentient beings, we contrive too many things. We try to change and alter things in our minds too heavy. We are always exaggerating things or denying them. And so it's like when you're told to just sit and be loose, then we're not able to do it. When someone says to you, relax, then you immediately get tighter. When you're about to get a shot, then the doctor will say to you, just relax and relax there. And then what happens? You immediately get more tense. And so it's like that. So now you can go to the restroom if you would like.